my visual effects friends. In the last video what we did was we were able to download and import our assets, we renamed our project, and then we also created our composition by dragging our C-bottom JPEG into new composition, and then we renamed it Under the Sea. We changed that composition to 15 seconds, which you can see down here at the bottom, and now we're ready to animate. To do that, we're going to create the illusion that we have some seaweed down here on the sea bottom. So I'm going to go up here to seaweed.psd in our assets folder. I'm going to drag this on top of the sea bottom because whatever layer is on top is the one that is most prevalent in the scene. The one on the bottom is the one that gets shuffled to the back of the image. I'm going to take my seaweed and kind of place it back here. And then I'm going to hit S for scale and scale it down a little bit. So it looks like the seaweed's in the background a little bit more. Close that up. I'm going to go grab another piece of seaweed, drag that on top. I'm going to move this over here and place it down here a little bit. I'm going to hit S on my keyboard for scale. I'm going to build that up a little bit. And then I can left click and drag around and kind of reposition it right there. So now I have two pieces of seaweed. I can add as many as I want to, but for now, I'm going to start with these two. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab our little clownfish and I'm going to drag it in between the two pieces of seaweed. As you can see here, he kind of is hidden behind the seaweed here in this part of the image. If I drag him to the right, he comes out of it. This fish is way too big. If you've ever seen a clownfish, they're kind of small. So again, I'm going to go to the little fish. I'm going to hit S for scale. I'm going to shrink him down. I'm going to drag him all the way to the right out of the screen. It's a little something like this. You'll see him off to the side of the screen right here. I'm going to go to P for position. So I hit P for position on the little fish. And right here, I'm going to kind of drag out to about a second or two. So I can use this little scroll bar here to zoom in. I'm going to look at the first 5 seconds. I'm going to go out to about a second, and that's where I'm going to start my animation. What some people like to do is rate at 0, 0. They set a keyframe for position by hitting the little stopwatch here. They go out to 1 second, and then they'll hit keyframe again, not the stopwatch, because if I hit stopwatch, what that will do is actually undo what I just did. So what I want to do is, I want to hit the add or remove keyframe, and at this moment, we're not removing anything, so we're going to add a keyframe here. So what we just told the program is from here to here, there's going to be no movement, and then from here to about 8 seconds, our little fish is going to swim right here behind the seaweed. And it doesn't have to be precise. It doesn't have to be a horizontal line. You can have them kind of come up a little bit. You can have them come down a little bit. We're going to adjust that very soon. And you notice in my timeline, I now have a keyframe where he's staying. And then he's slowly going to move into the scene. And if you look closer at that line that we created, if I zoom in, you see these little dots right here. These dots are the position of that fish in each frame of this video. So as I move frame by frame, and remember this video is 30 frames per second, you will see a position setting for each position, frame by frame, of where this fish will be, right to the very end at 8 seconds. Now at 8 seconds, he's going to realize somebody's coming after him, and he's going to turn around and go the opposite direction. To have him change positions and turn around, we need to change his scale again. So to do that, I click on Little Fish, and I hit S. For a little bit of time, I'm going to have him stay right here. So for scale, I'm going to hit keyframe here. I'm going to move forward a little bit. I'm going to hit another keyframe. Now I want him to flip directions very quickly. So to do that, I'm going to go up here to preview. I'm going to move ahead 1 frame, and what that does is moves my cursor ahead 1 frame. I'm going to unlink my scale. Now I can make a change in the X direction, and I want him to be scaled in the negative X direction. So I put a negative sign here, and I hit enter, and it flips him around. If I zoom in really tight on my keyframes here, you'll see he went from one direction here and flipped around and faced the other direction here. So I have it so that he all of a sudden realizes, nope, I need to go back this way. I'm going to zoom back out and look at this again. He comes in, sees that someone's after him, turns around, and now we're going to have him go out the other direction. To do that, after he flips around, I'm going to hit P for position. I'm going to set my keyframe again here. So he has a little bit of a pause. He zooms in here, sees something, turns around, and now we're going to have him zoom out. So I'm going to kind of scroll out a little bit. In a short amount of time, say about 2 seconds, I'm going to have him go zipping right back out of here. It's going to look something like this. Now what we need to do is animate in what is making him turn and run away like that. If we go up into our assets folder, we'll see we have this very large shark that we can drag on top of the little fish. Make sure that you put it under the seaweed because he's going to go in between the 2 pieces of seaweed too. So I put him on top, and as you can see when he gets placed in the composition, due to the layers, he's behind that first piece of seaweed and in front of that second piece. Now, if you notice, he's also facing the wrong direction, so we're going to start right off with changing the direction on him. So I'm going to go to scale. I'm going to make him a little bit bigger to start with. So I'm going to make him about 150. You can make them bigger or smaller. I'm going to unlink it. I'm going to click on X, and I'm going to put a negative sign in front of the 150 for X. And that will change the direction of where he's looking. Then if I want to, I can relink it. That way if I change the scale from here, it's going to change everything and not be disproportionate. I'm going to take him, and right about here when the fish realizes that there's a shark coming, I'm going to have him come into the scene. So I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit. I'm going to take the shark, I'm going to position him off to the left. I'm going to set a position marker or keyframe here. I hit P for position, and I mark him right here for the shark. As that fish takes off, I'm going to have the shark nice and casually chase after him. So what this looks like is the fish will come up, see that there's a shark, and take off. So far, everything looks pretty static, but we're going to fix that real soon.